Hey guys, welcome back to part number 3 of the Tapper Restore. Tonight I want to get the bottom on the cabinet so I can get it stood back up. I looked over these original wheels. I'm going to reuse them. There's nothing wrong with them. A little bit of rust, but nothing real bad. So we're going to use these again. I have new leg levelers that we're going to put on it, and I'm using these plates to hold the leg levelers. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever bought these or used these before. These nuts that come on here, they tend to break off. There's barely any weld holding them on. So what I did was I went in and just made a few tack welds around the edge, and then I just sprayed a little bit of paint on top of it just to keep it from rusting. By putting those little tack welds on there, it keeps the nut from busting off the bottom of the plate. And I always put the nut up into the wood, so I install it this way rather than the nut hanging down. So that actually helps a little bit as well. I have some wood cut for the cleats to hold the bottom on the cabinet. I got to cut these two sides still because they're a little long. Because this divider board here, I got to cut a piece on each side of the divider board. I also cut the bottom piece out of 3/4 inch plywood right here. If you notice, this 3/4 inch plywood has a bow in it, like this. So we're going to install it in the cabinet this way, so that the bow's going towards the floor, and once I staple and screw it in, it'll straighten it out, and then the weight of the cabinet will also straighten out the bow. Because if you put it the other way, going this way, chances are these edges are going to want to stick out because of the bow in it. That's normal for plywood. Plywood usually tends to be bowed when you buy it. I cut these cleats on the table saw out of a 2x4. They're actually 1 inch by 1 inch. They're a little bit bigger than what they should be. But I wanted these to be 1 inch by 1 inch because I'm going to staple them in here, and I'm also going to put a couple 1.25 inch exterior screws into them as well, plus the glue. I just want to make sure that it's nice and sturdy and we don't ever have to worry about it being a problem. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to have to cut down these two cleats for the sides, and then we'll get them stapled in there. And then once we have these stapled onto the cabinet, we'll run a couple screws into them, and then we will put the bottom on, and then we will staple and screw the bottom from underneath into the cleat. So there'll be no fasteners on the outside of the cabinet. So let's cut these down first. We'll make both sides the same. So I need a piece that goes back here. And we're gonna stop it a little short from the bottom, from all the way to the back. We're gonna bring it up a little bit. I don't think the wheel will interfere, but probably better to be safe than sorry. We can go all the way down. The wheel won't interfere. Okay. So we're going to cut 2 of them to this length here. Here and here. I'm just going to use my little multi-tool. I have a DeWalt multi-tool, which I'll show you here. Actually, I don't even know if I'm in the camera. There we go. Just going to use my DeWalt multi-tool here just to cut these down to size. We need 2 of each. I like to try to get them close to the same size so it looks uniform from one side to the other. If you guys don't have this tool, it's probably one of the best tools you can own. You can buy corded ones. You can even buy them at Harbor Freight. You can get one for like 30, 40 bucks. And you'll be amazed at what you can do with it. I use it at work probably every single day. The back here, I need to make notches in it for the wheels to fit into. I saved the old back. I still have the old back, so I can get some measurements on how deep and wide these notches are. So I'm just going to measure them off of this and duplicate them onto the piece of plywood. And we'll just use that multi-tool to cut those as well. Two and an eighth inches wide by 2 inches deep. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this piece of plywood, stick it in here like that for now, so that what I can do is take my marker and mark where the edge of that slot is so it lines up with the back. And then we know we got to go 2 inches deep. So now we'll come here and just measure down 2 inches. And we'll just cut these notches out real quick. And then we will be ready to put the cleats on the cabinet and get this bottom put in. And then we gotta install the leg levelers. Now where I put my cap to my marker. There it is. Cut this with a jigsaw as well. You don't have to have one of these. Those are cut. The only other thing that we need from this old bottom is I would like to save this cleat where the PCB slides into, where the metal plates slide into this. That's going to be the only thing I want to save, which I think that's glued on there, so it might be a pain to come off. We might end up having to make a new one. Just not sure yet. But let's go ahead and get these cleats stapled on. Now, I could see where the old ones were. There's a line in there. So we'll just line them back up on their line. The bottom's about flush when it's put in. Same glue as I used on the other parts of the cabinet. The Tight Bond 2 premium wood glue. Just going to put 3 staples. Because we're going to glue it, or we're going to drill it and screw it in afterwards. I have a piece cut for the bottom and the top as well. This goes between the 2 wheels on the, on the back. This goes between 2 wheels on the back, and this goes on the top here. Now this one on the top will have to measure back 3/4 of an inch because there's no line on here because this is a new piece. You know what you can also do too, to make it a little bit easier than having to measure, didn't even think of this, but just take a piece of this scrap that you cut off for the wheel and use this as your guide to guide how far back you want this cleat to go. That'll be a little bit easier than measuring with the tape measure. Just hold it on here and make it flush with the back. You can check these ones, which are good. Then once the bottom is on the cabinet, we'll be ready to start repairing these sides and getting it ready for primer. Then we can paint it. We're going to paint it with a single stage satin black urethane paint with a spray gun. We're going to paint the whole entire cabinet satin black, and then we'll be able to apply the artwork on the sides and on the front. We already printed that a couple weeks ago, so we have it ready. The screen bezel marquee and the CPO came from Phoenix Arcade. Really super fast. I ordered it and had it within 5 days, I think. I mean, it's incredible how quick he is at getting the stuff shipped out to you. It's always packaged really well. If he has the artwork, I try to buy from him. If not, I like Joe Zabo. I think he does a really good job as well. Other than that, we do print some of our own stuff, depending on what it is. But something like the screen bezels and marquees and stuff, Phoenix Arcade is pretty much the only one that is able to screen print those screens with the mirrored image on it, the mirrored outline around the edges. I could print it myself, but it would be silver. Not even silver, it would be gray. So I don't like that idea. So, all right, now we're gonna put some screws. These are 1¼ inch exterior screws. I don't like using drywall screws because drywall screws shear off. Once a drywall screw gets a little rusty, the head will just break right in half. These don't tend to rust because these have a coating on them. I like to use a countersinking bit. This is a number 8 countersinking bit. If you look closely, it's actually cut down. I cut this down because the bit was a little bit longer than that, and I didn't want to be drilling holes and having the tip of this bit go through the outside of the cabinet. So I actually cut it back a little bit and just resharpened it. It's not like that point needs to be perfect. It's just drilling through wood. It'll go right through. So let's get this going here. I'm gonna put 3 screws in the bottom or in the back, 3 down here, 2, 3, 2, 3. I like to do this, especially with these style cabinets, because it's just particle board. You can actually see the side flexing just a little bit when I'm drilling, but once the bottom's put on, stapled, and screwed in, it won't do that anymore. Show you how these look in here with that countersinking bit. See how it makes them nice and flush, just past flush, which is nice. You know, if you're ever using them and you want to Bondo over a screw, that's the way to go, because then you can put some Bondo over it and it's gonna, you know, work out perfectly for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of these screws in now. it goes fairly quick. And what's nice is it's already stapled, so the staples are holding it into place until I get the screws in. Now these are 1.25 inches, and that cleat is just about 1 inch thick. So with the recess, these are only going about 3/8 into this side rail. That's why I'm using a few extra screws. Now the back of this lower back, the bottom, is the only part on this whole cabinet that's actual plywood. Everything else is made out of particle board, melamine. Three more along the top, and we'll be ready to get this bottom put in. Now these other pieces that we did on the last video, this cabinet's been sitting like this for a few days, so the glue is nice and dry. All right, that's done. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and glue the bottom in. Spin it around this way. We're going to put some glue on these cleats and put it into place real quick before the glue drips everywhere. Running out of glue. All right, there we go. Once again, we're putting it with the bow going this way. Put a couple staples to hold it, and then we'll screw it in. You can see that these notches line up perfectly with the back because we use that, you know, as a template. So now we're going to go ahead and drill and put in some screws. Remember that upper cleat is a short one. On these, we're going to put 4 per side. Three along the front. 2 along the back should be sufficient. My bit's getting dull. I had it for a long time. All right, that's all screwed in. Let's do the leg levelers next. What I need to do is I like to just take them in about a 1/2 inch down and a 1/2 inch over. Mark my holes. I want to pre-drill the holes for the screws, and then we need to drill a big hole in the middle so that the leg leveler can go through into the bottom of the cabinet. Plus, we need to make the hole big enough for the nut to go through the plywood. Because I don't mount them this direction, I mount them the other direction. I forgot to get screws out for these plates. Hopefully I have some back here. I have to go look. Just measuring to get them both the same height-wise on the back ones. Okay. I'm gonna go see what I have for screws real quick. All right. These are 3/4 inch number 8 screws. They have a nice big head to them so that when they go in the plate, there's plenty of room for the head to grab. I don't like to go longer than 3/4 because once you go through the plate into the plywood, your little points aren't sticking out into the bottom of the cabinet. Then the center hole, we're going to use a 13/16 paddle bit to drill that so that that nut will go into the hole. And this we're going to drill all the way through the cabinet so that the leg leveler, the stud, can go past the plywood into the cabinet. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch drill bit to pre-drill my holes for these screws, just to make it easier to go in. This bit's a little worn out, so it might take a little bit to drill. Try not to push real hard, because if you push these bits real hard, it blows the plywood out on the other side. Okay. Put the legs on it now. I'm just going to kind of spin all the nuts about the same height. Adjust them later. If you hold them up to each other like this, you can get them all the same. Doesn't have to be perfect right now. You're gonna have to re-level them once it goes in the basement anyways. It's just nice to not have it rocking around too much when you're sanding on it. I actually have them up pretty high right now, just so that side is off the floor a little bit farther for when I sand and paint it. Then I can always lower it down if I want to. those are on. Last thing to do is put the wheels on. They go on this way. I'm gonna have to put something under the cabinet to hold it up a little bit. Tape measure might work. That'll work. Then we can screw these on. I'm gonna use the original screws that it came with. These are just 1/4 inch head wood screws. We are done with the bottom of the cabinet. Now we can flip it upright and see if we can get that cleat off the old bottom and put it on the new one. We'll have to take some measurements so that we put it in the same spot so that the PCB will line up. So let's get this cabinet stood up. I'll leave that tape measure underneath there for now. There it is, back and nice and sturdy. Let's go around to the back here. I still got to get this power supply and wiring out of here. Just unscrew this real quick and get it out of the way. This is all going right in the garbage. Everything's bent up and save this piece of plastic just like we did on the Journey. This is what holds the power cord into through the cabinet. Okay, now we need to see if we can measure and get this cleat off of here. We'll go grab a flathead screwdriver and see if we can't get that off of there. All right, let me see if I can't pry this off there. I'm gonna take a measurement first. This is the back of the cabinet on the inside because that back panel goes down right here. So I'm gonna get a measurement from here to here. And it's 14 5/8. So we'll go in here and we'll measure back 14 5/8. We'll do that twice so that we can get it going straight. Okay, and then from right to left, we're at 6 1/2, about 6 3/4. We're gonna go 6 5/8. So once you make those couple marks, here, here, and there, put an X right here. Then you know that that's where the bracket sits, on top of that X. You don't want to go nailing it in here on this side. You want to make sure it goes on that side. Now, I'm pretty confident that's glued down. My Journey was glued and it had 2 screws that went through these holes originally. Might not work. A little bit chunky. There was one staple here. I think we'll be able to reuse it. I'm gonna go sand it down. I'm gonna go sand this down real quick and get rid of the dirtiness. Okay, I just sanded it real quick so it's not super dirty. Now when you take it off the back, you have to know which way it goes because this side is closer than this side. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but this wider part was facing the back of the cabinet. So we're gonna put a little bit of glue and we're gonna put about 4 or 5 staples in here. They only had 1 in the center and screws. Actually, you know, maybe we will screw this in. I'll just put like 2 staples in the center and we'll put a screw there and there. Line it up on the marks. It actually butts right up against the back of that. I'm gonna run and grab 2 screws. Okay, I'm just gonna use 2 more of these 1¼ inch exterior screws. Actually, I'm gonna have to go get 1 5/8 inch. These ones just are not long enough. Okay, same screw, just 1 5/8 inch long. Much better. You can see somebody had PCB mounts right here. We're gonna take those off. We don't need them. There always has to be one with a different screw. Take off this wire strap, it's broken anyways. Here's another one up here. Okay. One other thing I found in the cabinet, which I've seen before, I just never really paid much attention to it, is there's an original bag here. It says, "Do not discard. Special wrench for removal of tamper-resistant Torx screws." And believe it or not, it's still in there. And you can see it's got a Torx end on it with the security bit hole in the middle. I'm actually gonna leave that in there. It's pretty cool to have. I don't know what the 7512 is. I don't know if that is something the operator wrote in there, because I don't know if that corresponds with this. No, it does not. Does not correspond with these numbers here. So I'll bet you that's something the operator probably put in there. Or maybe it was something to do with assembly at the factory. But other than that, that is going to wrap up this video. Next video we will do all the body work on this cabinet, get those sides filled in, and you know, we're gonna have to fiberglass them like we did with the Journey cabinet. That bottom on that one side, looks like both sides I'm gonna have to do on this one. We'll get that done. We'll have to do it in 2 parts because we'll have to lay it on the cabinet on one side and fiberglass it, let it dry overnight, do the body work on the one side, flip it over, resin that side, let it dry overnight, and then do the body work on that side. Luckily, we don't have any work to do on the top or the front because now they're new. That's about it though. So we will get the body work done, probably 2 videos for that. After that, we'll get it in primer, get it painted black, then we get it in the basement and start putting it together. I have the cup holders, they came back from the plater, so they're re-brassed. And I have a new bar for the bottom and everything. Other than that, that is it. That's gonna wrap up this video. If you guys like it, please like and subscribe. And you guys have a good night.